Fear is a silent enemy lurking in the shadows of our thoughts, waiting to paralyze us when we least expect it. It takes root in our minds, whispering doubts, discouraging our ambitions, and creating barriers where none truly exist. But let me tell you this, fear is nothing more than an illusion, a figment of the imagination that holds no real power over you unless you allow it. The moment you decide to face fear head-on, it begins to lose its grip. The great minds, the leaders of history, those who have shaped the world, did not succeed because they were fearless. No, they succeeded because they learned to push through fear, to embrace it, and to turn it into fuel for their relentless pursuit of greatness. The fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of the unknown, they all exist in the minds of those who dare to venture beyond their comfort zones, but those who conquer fear know one simple truth: they are more powerful than their doubts. You see, fear is a product of the mind, a mind that can either imprison you or empower you. The moment you take control of your thoughts, you take control of your destiny. When fear begins to whisper, tell yourself, I am in control. I am the master of my fate. No thought, no fear, no obstacle will stop me from achieving my goals. The richest minds, the most successful people, are not those who have never known fear, but those who have used fear as a stepping stone to build their dreams. They did not allow fear to define them. They understood that every great achievement was born from the courage to face uncertainty and to take that first step, even when the road ahead was unclear. So, when fear knocks on your door, greet it with confidence. Know that it is merely an invitation to rise higher, to expand your limits, and to prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. The greatest triumphs of your life will come when you step out of the shadows of fear and into the light of your true potential. Do not let fear stand between you and your dreams. You have within you the power to overcome any challenge, to defy any doubt, and to create a future defined by courage, determination, and an unwavering belief in your ability to succeed. Fear will always be present, but it does not have to be the ruler of your life. You are stronger, more capable, and more resilient than any fear that tries to stand in your way. Now, go forward with unshakable confidence. Step into the unknown with the full knowledge that you are the architect of your own success. The only thing standing between you and your dreams is your willingness to face the fear and keep moving forward. Fear is an illusion that loses its power once you face it head-on. True success is built not on the absence of fear, but on the courage to move forward despite it. Fear is a natural response to the unknown, an instinctive mechanism that has evolved to protect us from harm. But in the modern world, fear often manifests in ways that do not serve our best interests. It creeps into our thoughts, influences our decisions, and dictates our actions, all while wearing the mask of caution or self-preservation. However, the truth is that fear is not the insurmountable force we often perceive it to be. It is, in fact, an illusion that loses its power the moment we choose to confront it. The first step in overcoming fear is recognizing that it is not a reflection of reality. Fear is, in many ways, a product of our minds. It is shaped by our past experiences, our beliefs, and the stories we tell ourselves about what might happen in the future. It is not something that exists independently of us. It is a creation of our own thoughts, fed by our imaginations, and it thrives on uncertainty. The more we allow ourselves to entertain those fearful thoughts, the stronger and more real they seem. But when we pause and question those thoughts, we begin to see that fear is often based on assumptions rather than facts. When you break it down, fear can be categorized into two types: rational fear and irrational fear. Rational fear is the type of fear that keeps us safe. It is the fear that tells us to step back from the edge of a cliff or to avoid touching a hot stove. This kind of fear is rooted in our survival instinct and has a clear, logical basis for its existence. It is the fear that warns us of immediate danger and helps us avoid harm. This kind of fear is essential for our physical survival, but it does not often influence our pursuit of personal growth, success, or achievement. On the other hand, irrational fear is the kind of fear that holds us back from living up to our true potential. It is the fear that arises from uncertainty about the future, the fear of failure, the fear of judgment, and the fear of rejection. It is the fear that tells us we are not capable, not good enough, or not worthy of success. Unlike rational fear, which has a logical basis, irrational fear is based on assumptions, insecurities, and unfounded beliefs. It has no real power except the power we give it. The key to overcoming irrational fear is to realize that it is not something we must accept as an inevitable part of our lives. We do not have to let fear dictate the course of our actions or hold us back from pursuing our dreams. The moment we decide to confront fear, to step into the unknown, we begin to dismantle its power. Fear thrives on avoidance, on the act of running from discomfort and uncertainty. But when we choose to face fear head-on, we challenge its very existence. This is where the power of action comes in. Action is the antidote to fear. When fear arises, it often paralyzes us, leaving us stuck in a state of indecision or inaction. We think about all the possible negative outcomes, all the things that could go wrong, and we become overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of it all. But the simple act of moving forward, of taking even a small step, begins to break down that sense of paralysis. The moment we take action, we shift our focus from the fearful thoughts in our minds to the task at hand. We begin to see that the consequences of inaction, stagnation, regret, and missed opportunities are far more damaging than the fear itself. It's important to understand that fear does not disappear overnight. It is something that will always be present, lingering in the background of our minds, but it is how we respond to fear that matters. The more we choose to take action in spite of fear, the less hold it has on us. Each time we push through the fear, we build resilience and confidence. We begin to realize that we are capable of handling whatever comes our way. The fear, once so large and intimidating, begins to shrink, and in its place grows a sense of empowerment and possibility. The stories of those who have achieved great success are filled with instances where fear was present but did not hold them back. They did not wait for fear to disappear before taking action. They acted in spite of it. Consider the great innovators, entrepreneurs, and leaders throughout history. They faced fear at every turn, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of making mistakes, but they did not let it stop them. Instead, they used fear as a signal that they were stepping outside their comfort zones, that they were moving into new territory where growth and opportunity awaited. Take Thomas Edison, for example, the inventor of the electric light bulb. Edison failed thousands of times before achieving success, and each failure brought with it the fear that perhaps he was not meant to succeed. Yet, instead of letting fear stop him, he kept going. In fact, when asked about his many failures, he famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10 zeros, 0 ways that won't work." Edison understood that fear of failure was simply a natural part of the journey, not something to be avoided. He knew that every setback was a step closer to success. Similarly, consider the story of Walt Disney. Disney faced countless setbacks and rejections before building his empire. He was told he lacked imagination, was given no credit for his creative ideas, and went bankrupt more than once. Yet he never allowed fear to take hold of him. He continued to push forward, fueled by his vision and belief in his ability to create something extraordinary. Today, Disney is one of the most successful entertainment companies in the world, and its founder is remembered as one of the most imaginative minds in history. These stories, and countless others, illustrate a simple truth: fear is not something that should be feared. It is simply a signal that we are on the right path. Fear arises when we step outside our familiar zones, when we challenge ourselves to grow, to learn, and to become more than we were yesterday. The presence of fear is not an indication of failure. It is an indication of progress. It means that we are pushing ourselves towards something greater, and that is where true success lies. As you move forward in your own life, remember that fear will always be there. It will never fully go away, but it doesn't need to. The key is not to eliminate fear, but to understand it, to recognize it for what it is, and to refuse to let it control you. The moment you face fear, it loses its power over you. It is no longer the obstacle that it once seemed to be. It becomes a stepping stone, a signal that you are moving towards something greater. So when fear arises, and it will remember that it is not something to run from, it is not something to avoid, it is something to face, to challenge, and to use as a source of strength. The more you confront your fears, the less power they will have over you, and in the end, you will find that the only thing standing between you and your dreams is not the fear itself, but your willingness to face it, to push through it, and to keep moving forward. True success is not reserved for those who are untouched by fear, but for those who embrace fear, face it head on, and continue to move forward despite its presence. The pursuit of success, whether in personal development, career, or relationships, is not a journey without obstacles, doubts, and moments of insecurity. Fear is a natural part of this process, but it is not a barrier to success. Rather, it is a stepping stone. The difference between those who achieve their goals and those who fall short often comes down to one simple choice, the decision to take action in the face of fear. When we think of success, we often imagine individuals who appear fearless, confident, and certain. We look at those who have reached the pinnacle of their careers, who have achieved remarkable feats, and we assume that they must have never felt fear or doubt along the way. We assume that they were somehow immune to the fears that hold us back. But in reality, the most successful people have faced the same fears and doubts that we all experience. They simply learned how to continue moving forward despite them. The truth is that fear is universal. It is a human emotion that we all feel, no matter how accomplished or confident we may seem on the outside. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not being good enough. These are the fears that hold many of us back from pursuing our dreams. These fears are not only common but are often deeply ingrained in our subconscious minds. They stem from our upbringing, societal pressures, and past experiences, and they can create powerful narratives that convince us we are not capable of achieving our goals. But these fears are not the truth. They are merely stories we tell ourselves, stories that can be rewritten with the right mindset and approach. Success, therefore, is not the absence of fear. It is the ability to act in spite of fear. It is the courage to continue moving forward even when the road ahead is uncertain, when the risks seem daunting, and when the doubts are loud in our minds. The most successful people in the world are not those who have never experienced fear. They are the ones who have learned how to manage their fear and use it to propel them forward. One of the most significant misconceptions about fear is that it signals that we are on the wrong path. We believe that if we are afraid, it means we are not capable or that we should avoid the challenge at hand. We see fear as a warning sign, a red flag that something is wrong. However, the reality is that fear is often a sign that we are stepping out of our comfort zones and moving into new territory. It is a natural response to change, to growth, and to the unknown. When we experience fear, it is a clear indication that we are pushing the boundaries of what we know and what we are capable of. It means that we are on the edge of something significant, something that has the potential to transform our lives. Success does not come from staying in the comfort zone. It does not come from avoiding fear. It comes from stepping into the discomfort of the unknown, from taking risks, and from facing the challenges that arise along the way. Those who are truly successful have developed a mindset that views fear as an opportunity, not a threat. They understand that every great achievement is built upon a foundation of courage, the courage to try, to fail, and to try again. Think about the first time you tried something new, something that pushed you outside your comfort zone. Whether it was a new job, a new project, or a new relationship, there was probably a moment of fear. You didn't know what would happen, you didn't know if you were good enough, and you didn't know if you would succeed. But despite that fear, you took action. You moved forward even when the outcome was uncertain. And in doing so, you created an opportunity for growth, for learning, and for success. The same principle applies to every area of life. Whether it's starting a business, pursuing a passion, or making a big life change, fear will always be present. It will always try to hold you back, to convince you that it's safer to stay where you are, to play it safe, and to avoid the risk of failure. But the most successful people are those who have learned to take action in the face of fear. They understand that fear is not a sign to stop. It is a sign to move forward with determination and belief in themselves. The key to success is not about being fearless. It is about being courageous enough to act despite fear. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the willingness to take action even when fear is present. It is the ability to push through the discomfort and uncertainty, knowing that the rewards of taking action far outweigh the consequences of inaction. Every time you act in spite of fear, you build resilience. You become stronger, more confident, and more capable of handling whatever challenges come your way. When we allow fear to control us, we become paralyzed by doubt and indecision. We wait for the perfect moment, the right conditions, or the assurance that we will succeed before we take action. But the reality is that there will never be a perfect moment. The right conditions will never fully align. If we wait for fear to disappear before taking action, we may wait forever. The key is to take action anyway. It is to make the decision to move forward, even when we don't have all the answers, even when we don't feel completely ready. Success is built on the foundation of consistent action, even in the face of uncertainty. The process of overcoming fear and taking action is not always easy. It requires mental toughness, perseverance, and a deep belief in yourself and your abilities. But the rewards of pushing through fear are immense. Every time you choose to act despite fear, you move closer to your goals. You begin to see that the obstacles that once seemed insurmountable are not as daunting as they appeared. You begin to realize that the only thing standing between you and success is not fear itself, but your willingness to face it and keep moving forward. This is the mindset of the successful. They know that fear will always be there. It will always try to hold them back, but they also know that they have the power to move forward despite fear. They understand that fear is not something to be avoided. It is something to be embraced as a sign of growth and opportunity. The more they confront fear, the more they realize that it is not as powerful as it seems. It is simply a feeling, and it does not define who they are or what they can achieve. As you pursue your own path to success, remember that fear will always be present. It will always try to stop you, but you have the power to overcome it. The key is not to wait for fear to disappear, but to take action in spite of it. Move forward with confidence, knowing that fear is not the enemy. It is the signal that you are on the right track. Each step you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to the success you desire, and the more you embrace fear and continue to act despite it, the more you will realize that success was never about being fearless. It was always about having the courage to move forward, no matter what. In the end, true success is not defined by the absence of fear, but by the courage to press forward despite it. Fear is a natural, universal part of the human experience, and while it may never fully disappear, it does not have to control us. The most successful individuals are not those who are never afraid, but those who learn to acknowledge fear, face it head on, and take purposeful action in spite of it. Every moment of fear is an opportunity to grow, to challenge ourselves, and to move closer to our goals. The path to greatness is paved with courage, resilience, and the unwavering decision to move forward even when the future feels uncertain. So, remember, fear is not the enemy of success. It is a necessary companion on the journey to achieving your dreams. Keep pushing forward, for with each step you take, you become stronger, more capable, and closer to the success that awaits you.